a cleft lip.
Hi, my name is Dr. Hilary McCormack, and I'm currently serving as a chief resident in otolaryngology head and neck surgery at the University of Utah School of Medicine. I was extremely honored to be the recipient of the 2021 Samuel Berkowitz Long-Term Outcomes Study Award. The Berkowitz Award is made annually to the primary author of a research article judged to be the best long-term outcome study published in the Cleft Palate Craniofacial Journal covering a cleft or craniofacial subject area. The award recognized research done by myself and my colleagues, which was focused on evaluating the impact of a single stage versus two-stage cleft palate repair and the impact this may have on a child's risk of developing velopharyngeal insufficiency, also known as VPI. By completing linear and logistic regression, we found that there's an increased risk of a VPI diagnosis and increased surgical burden among patients receiving a two-stage cleft palate repair. Our hope is that this research will help guide surgeons through the decision-making process of how to best repair a cleft palate and to better understand the potential late effects of each surgical approach. I first became interested in this research when I was a junior resident within otolaryngology head and neck surgery. Given the number of surgical procedures that cleft palate patients undergo and the critical nature of these repairs, research has been important to me to ensure the best surgical and quality of life outcomes. I want to thank you for your generous support of the ACPA. Receiving the Berkowitz Award was such an honor and made me even more excited to engage in research that has the ability to make a positive impact on patient outcomes. Being part of impactful research will be something I will participate well into the future. Thank you again.
Hello, I'm Katie Weath, and this is my son, Andrew. Andrew's my miracle. He's my double rainbow baby, my hope for IVF success brought to life. The child that I prayed the first 5 years of my married life for God to bless me with. We're so thankful for our full-term, thriving, healthy baby boy. However, we were also faced with the fears and jitters of our son being born with a unilateral cleft lip and palate that was not diagnosed prior to birth. We could have never expected that the bottles that I so meticulously selected for him and the binkies we carefully packed in the hospital prep bag would actually never be used. We spent the first 24 hours of his life in our local small town hospital worrying because he would not appropriately use the only cleft baby bottle available in the nursery. He was barely eating other than from a syringe. Andrew's first day I may describe as the happiest yet possibly scariest day of my life. Thankfully, things turned around on day 3 when the pediatrician notified us that he was able to get us an appointment with the UPMC Children's Hospital Pittsburgh craniofacial team, which is just 2 hours from our house at that time. The specialists from the cleft team provided Andrew with a different type of bottle for babies with cleft palates, known as the pigeon bottle, and he began eating immediately. They also taught us how to begin taping Andrew's cleft lip to prepare his face for his future lip adhesion and lip revision. This appointment was only the first time that our cleft clinic doctors and staff would dazzle us with their ability to provide exactly what our child needed. From here, we moved on to his cleft palate repair when he was 14 months old. Our team had been preparing us for the surgery from the time of birth, so we had an idea of what to expect, but we were also informed that every child gets through it differently. His palate repair surgery went smoothly, and even though the hours it took to complete seemed like days as we waited, but we got through it and his palate healed fantastically. When he was born and unexpectedly had a cleft lip and palate, I was so scared, and it seems that this fear jumps back in me every time something comes up, a little bump in his medical journey here. But I reach out to the team and they're able to advise us in the best way always. And I also read through the American Cleft Palate Association on the website what other families have experienced, and that helps too. It seems that Andrew proves over and over again what his doctor said at his birth, that Andrew will grow to be a very special boy. Yearly, I share an update on Andrew through ACPA for the families that have children born with cleft lip and palate, because I needed to read those stories when Andrew was born. My goal as his mother is to teach him to grow as a strong, confident boy, comfortable with the person that God has created him to be. And I hope that he will learn to become his own advocate as he progresses through his journey. Everyone has their own story, and his story just happens to include being born with a cleft lip and palate. He's conquered so much in his very big first 5 years of his life, from the baby born in the small town hospital with one cleft bottle to use, to the amazing 5-year-old boy. Andrew and I have since relocated to North Carolina, so we are blessed to have the opportunity to work with the UNC Hospital's cleft craniofacial team here, and it's just as wonderful as working with the Pittsburgh team. We are forever grateful for those of you who donate to ACPA and support interdisciplinary cleft and craniofacial team care. I'm really not sure what we would have done without our teams at UPMC Children's Hospital Pittsburgh and here at UNC.
Hi, my name is Grace Davenport, and I was the 2021 recipient of the Randall La Rosa Honors College Scholarship. Growing up, I experienced many physical, social, and mental challenges associated with a cleft. I remember the exact moment that I learned something was abnormal with my face. When a girl on the playground asked, "What's wrong with your face, and why do you look like that?" From then on, I was determined to be a normal kid. Unknowingly, I started changing myself in hopes of receiving validation from my peers. Anything to distract them from my abnormal face. At first, I traded small parts of myself, caving into trivial peer pressure. Into high school, I recklessly bargained away my entire identity, my academics, my hobbies, and even my morals. Like a shapeshifter, I became whoever they wanted me to be. I listened to their music, wore their clothes, went to their parties. My identity was so entangled in their approval, I no longer recognized myself. Not until my senior year did I finally recognize this unhealthy obsession with approval stemming from an internalized fear of rejection. I asked my mom to enroll me in therapy. Slowly, I began to embrace every part of me, including my cleft lip and palate. What once was the source of shame was now a unique part of my identity. I learned my cleft lip and palate is a beautiful part of my physical appearance, not something to hide. My identity is not dependent on validation from my peers, teachers, or even my parents. I no longer derive my worth from the world's approval, but instead project from my inner confidence. Inspired by my personal cleft diagnosis, I volunteered at the Virginian, a local housing center for adults with physical and mental disabilities. Many of the residents have cleft lip and palates, just like me. Due to my extensive experience as a cleft patient, I could empathize with their unique medical complications. This volunteer work at the Virginian, along with my personal experience as a cleft patient, compelled me to pursue a career path in medicine, specifically in the cleft field. Upon completing a rigorous genetics course, I finally found my niche, a prenatal genetic counselor, a career path that combined my interests in genetics and the cleft community. With aid from the Randall La Rosa College Scholarship, I intend on completing my BS in biology at James Madison University. After, I will pursue 2 gap years with the Peace Corps in the health sector, further preparing me to interact with vulnerable populations. Then, I intend on applying to the Genetic Counseling Master's Program at the Virginia Commonwealth University. Upon completing my degree, I plan to work abroad as a prenatal genetic counselor in underprivileged cleft communities. Who better to conduct cleft screening than a patient with a cleft? When a mom's unborn baby is diagnosed with a similar defect, I can share my unique perspective. Awarding me this scholarship is an investment not only in my education, but in the next generation of cleft care. Thank you for your generous support of ACPA.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Ortiz. Thank you, ACPA, for allowing us some time to share our gratitude and a little bit about how ACPA has impacted our family. When a child is born with cleft or other craniofacial conditions, it can be a difficult time for parents, trying to find answers to their questions and figuring out how to connect with providers to care for their baby, or even what type of providers are necessary. When we learned of our son's cleft lip and the possibility of a cleft palate at our 20-week ultrasound, I began searching for answers. Thankfully, we found the American Cleft Palate Craniofacial Association website, where we were able to learn more about Richie's condition and gain comfort through videos and other information shared by other families. Having immediate access to those resources and answers to our questions meant the world to us as parents. I knew that being born with a cleft condition would mean much more than a surgery to close his lip, and that it could impact much of his early development in different ways. And we wanted nothing more than to be prepared and confident in our ability to support and take care of our son. The education ACPA provided and their guidance in finding a team of providers who would work together to promote optimal development for our son played one of the most critical roles in our ability to not only overcome the challenges that we faced, but to gain strength from them. I know that it made all the difference in the world for our son as well, as he took on procedures and therapies in the cleft medical journey from birth with parents who were well supported and equipped for the journey. Richie was born with an incomplete unilateral cleft lip, and although his palate was not clefted, we worked with feeding, speech, and occupational therapists throughout his early childhood. He's now 8 years old and thriving. His medical journey brought us an entirely new way of seeing the beauty of a village and living in community. When Richie had his first surgery in 2014, my husband Ray and I decided that we wanted to give back and help other families with their cleft journey as ACPA had helped us. And that's when we decided to start the Cleft Strong 5K in San Antonio, Texas. It has become such a special part of our lives and opened the door to so many wonderful friendships. This October, we're going to hold the 9th Cleft Strong 5K race. To date, we have raised more than $125,000 to benefit the programs and services of ACPA. In addition to the race, we also provide cleft care packages to local families who are undergoing their first major surgery, and then welcome packets for families who learn of their baby's cleft condition at their prenatal visits. And more recently, we began providing free child life coaching services to the cleft community at certain times during the year. I think one of the greatest joys that I find in this chapter of my life is through helping others, especially in ways that I have been helped. And during these coaching programs, it is an opportunity for children to have the time and the space to understand, learn, and then practice ways of handling difficult challenges before those difficult challenges come their way. I'm reminded that this is exactly what ACPA did for our family back in 2013, and we are forever grateful. I want to thank all of you fellow donors. Your support of ACPA helped us get started with our son's cleft journey, and now it helps so many others along the way as well. When you receive a hug from one of these families, you know that it's all worth it. Thank you.